Today I'm going to show you a lesser visited area in the middle of Utah that has national park views without the crowds. In this video, I will explore this beautiful area on an ATV, visit the largest dinosaur quarry in the world, walk in the footsteps of Butch Cassidy, and search for rock art in a canyon known as the Outdoor Louvre. Stick with me, and by the end of this video, you'll know whether to add this area of Utah to your bucket list of places to visit. I swear this is the best kept secret I've ever seen. Smushed between Utah's beautiful mountains in the north and its Red Rock National Parks in the south is a mysterious and off the beaten path central area filled with hidden gems. I'll visit some small towns and Utah's newest national monument before diving into the stunningly gorgeous San Rafael Swell. From Green River, I'll do an ATV ride before finishing off with two beautiful and historic canyons. Our first stop is the tiny town of Helper, Utah. I like small towns, but I like them a lot more when they have stories, and Helper has stories that need to be told. Helper is a small but proud mining town of 2,000 people. The town got its quirky name because there used to be Helper train engines here to pull the train cars through the steep canyon. Main Street is a cute collection of retro signs and businesses. You can't miss the town's favorite roadside attraction, Big John. He stands as a proud symbol of the mining industry. Helper once attracted railroad and mining laborers from all over the world. At one point, 27 languages were spoken in this little town. Stop in at the Helper Mining and Railroad Museum to learn about the town's encounter with the most famous outlaw in the West, Butch Cassidy. This donation-only museum has over 40 rooms of exhibits, including the most important business in every Old West town, the brothel. With so many workers, the railroad was careful to deliver the payroll money bags at varied times to avoid a robbery. But that didn't stop the West's most famous outlaw from striking. One day, while a worker was carrying $8,000 in cash to this office building, Butch Cassidy and a few of his friends held him up, took the bags, and rode off on their horses through the canyon. The money was never recovered. The museum claims that Butch walked on these very stairs. Nearby, a sign honors one of Butch's cohorts named Matt Warner. Why would Matt Warner be commemorated? I'll get to that later. The robbery happened here in nearby Castlegate. A roadside display commemorates the robbery. Those coal miners must have been upset at seeing the outlaws ride off with their pay, but about 30 years later, something far worse happened. A fire boss was investigating a gas leak near the entrance of the mine when he tried to light his lamp with a match. It set off a devastating explosion that sent one mining car flying almost a mile. Coal dust filled the mine, darkening the lamps of the miners inside. When they tried to ignite their lamps, it set off a second explosion, killing the rest of the 171 miners inside. A third explosion caused the cave to collapse. Most of the men were married, leaving many widows behind. It took 9 days to recover the bodies in this tragic episode that at the time was the third largest mining disaster and is still currently the 10th in United States history. Today, Helper is still a railroad town, but it is working to attract tourists. They call themselves Utah's Christmas town due to their large Christmas parade every year, and Main Street is slowly being turned into hotels, restaurants, and art galleries. I like talking to locals, and I was fortunate to run into Gary DeVincent, the owner of this motorcycle store, and Shalee Johansson, a realtor. Is there tourism growth?
Oh yeah, for sure. A lot of people that go to Moab stop here and they see what's here and they miss their event in Moab because there's so many cool things to see here. Are very authentic and do our own thing, and everybody is really accepting of that. So it's a very cool place to be.
Yeah, it's like a melting pot down here. It's not a traditional town of Utah.
Some of the condos in this town, you'd think you were in high-end Las Vegas or New York or LA. If you're standing in the middle of them, they're so nice, so clean. And they used to be old junky brothels. So you got the history, but the new.
What do you like most about living here?
The serenity of it. Arts festivals, car shows.
Okay.
We got our Vibes event. Actually, you should come down here on a Helper Vibes weekend. The night before, you'll see how quiet it is and desolate. Kind of like that ghost town feel. And then the next day, it's like, boom. And then the next day, it's back to quiet.
Yeah.
You guys are good salesmen for your town, I'm gonna say.
No, it's cool.
This is awesome.
No, it's because we genuinely.
Of course. Well, let's close the book on historic Helper, Utah, and drive off into the central desert of Utah. Our next stop is Jurassic National Monument. This is the most productive dinosaur quarry in the entire world, and scientists have been digging here for bones since the 1930s. Over 12,000 bones and even a dinosaur egg have been recovered here, representing 70 different animals and 11 species. Skeletons from these bones are on display in over 60 museums worldwide. Due to the significance of this site, it was set aside as a national monument in 2019. The big question scientists are trying to figure out is, why has this location produced so many dinosaur fossils? This is a current dig site. They're still digging for bones here. And so they've got a little shed here that you can walk in and check out all the bones that they're uncovering. These are from like 150 million years ago. A couple of dinosaurs I've never heard of here. In the museum, I learned that most of the bones here are from the Allosaurus, which lived during the Jurassic Age. Allosaurus was the T-Rex of his day. This shows my ignorance, but I didn't know that dinosaurs spanned multiple ages, including the Cretaceous age, which is when T-Rex lived. And here's something crazy. T-Rex is closer to our time than he was to Allosaurus' time. Back to our question, why so many dinosaur bones here? 3 theories. It was a natural swamp trap, the bones were washed here by a river, or it was a watering hole that happened to be poisoned. Although this site is significant and it is a national monument, and I learned a lot, it does require driving on a dirt road for a while, and being about an hour away from Price, I'm not sure it's worth the trip. Okay, I'm now standing in Castledale, Utah. Butch Cassidy worked on a farm here, and this is where he hatched his plan for that Castle Gate robbery that we visited earlier. One of his sidekicks was Matt Warner. Both of them were Mormon boys who went astray at a young age, and Matt Warner's outlaw name was the Mormon Kid. Matt was eventually caught and thrown in jail, and that's when he reformed. He went on to become a local sheriff, and though he isn't well known like Butch, people around here love the guy, and he's kind of a local legend. The museum behind me has the chaps worn by Matt Warner, which is pretty fun. This little museum also has an eclectic collection of exhibits from local history to dinosaurs to Native American artifacts. This was also the northernmost point on the old Spanish Trail. This is a route that went from New Mexico to California, came all the way up here into Utah. And then also they have a woolly mammoth one here that they found nearby. Now the original is in a museum in Price, Utah, but this is a replica of the woolly mammoth that they found just in the canyon over here. How crazy is that? The lady inside was so helpful and gave me all these brochures. She told me about many things, but maybe the most important thing she told me is where to find the world's best donuts. This little place behind me here is called the Food Ranch, and it's kind of funny. They have a sign that says racquetball, donuts, and sporting goods. And don't those just go together like peanut butter and jelly? Okay, so the guy inside told me the donut I needed to get is the Butterfinger donut. So let's give this a shot and see if it is the world's best donut. That is a pretty good donut, actually. That is pretty good. I don't know about world's best, but that is pretty good. One of the things I love about small town America are the many quirky roadside attractions found in the middle of nowhere. I was trying to get into the San Rafael Swell, but I stumbled on a few of these memorable places in this area, and they kept sucking me in. For example, this UFO crash landing site. I was driving down the road and I stumbled on this UFO landing site. Some farmer guy has set up a bunch of stuff here, created a landing site. So I am going to go in and check this out. Okay, they got a Keebler house and even put lights on the inside. The farmer, the memorable 85-year-old Vaughn Reed, happened to be home when I visited and invited me into his home to check out what he's done with the place. Oh, baby. All right, this is called the tree house. Oh my goodness. Look at this guy.
That's Benny the bear.
He loves making creations out of wood and metal and sharing them with others. Okay, we got a wagon wheel chandelier, and we got an amazing stove. Look at that thing. All his creations are for sale, but that's not why he created all this. Tell me why you started the UFO site.
I've always enjoyed talking to people, so I created this UFO landing site and put all these windmills and stuff up here, and people can't resist going by, so they come in here. That's how we started this all out, you know, just meeting people that come by.
I really enjoy these serendipitous meetings in my travels. It is now time to head into something called the San Rafael Swell. I've driven out here to an overlook called the Wedge. This is an overlook of the Little Grand Canyon. The San Rafael Swell is a strange and beautiful landscape in central Utah, known for its deep canyons and ancient rock art. This practically unknown and unvisited area offers national park views without national park crowds. I have to admit, as I was driving out here, I was expecting to be disappointed. To call it the Little Grand Canyon seemed a little presumptuous. But it really is like a little Grand Canyon. The red walls have that desert varnish, and the colors change with the sunlight and the clouds. It takes some effort to get here, but it's gorgeous. If you want to visit, it's about an hour away from the nearest city, and it's best in a high clearance vehicle. And if you do, you might just be the only person here like me. I seriously just sat here for like 15 minutes alone, just enjoying the view. I mean, this is spectacular. It is just so weird being out here completely alone, just me in this canyon. And now I get to drive down through this canyon and look at some petroglyphs. Whenever you see these guys, it means you're on the old Spanish Trail. So I'm driving out to the petroglyphs here, and there's this little quirky spot here, the dinosaur track. There's one dinosaur track in the sandstone here, marked by these circle of rocks and a cairn. I wonder if that dinosaur is one of those ones that got killed at that quarry earlier. I've stopped here at a rock art panel called Buckhorn Wash. This panel has pictographs, which are painted on, and petroglyphs, which are pecked into the stone. I'll be honest, being raised around here, petroglyphs have never really interested me that much. But maybe there's something about getting older and realizing the world is much bigger than me. I've now come to appreciate these art panels from centuries ago. This is one of the most magnificent panels I've ever seen due to the sheer canyon wall and the length of the panel. Most rock art found in Utah is from the Fremont people who lived about 1,000 years ago. These paintings are much older, probably dating back to before Christ. There are signs all over here warning against vandalism. Unfortunately, the minuscule number of vandals out there don't pay attention to these signs, but it is a federal offense to damage these. I read in this brochure that an internationally renowned art conservator restored this panel in 1995. Here's what he had to say. "I see these pictographs like any great work of art. Most people wouldn't consider walking into a museum and writing across a Rembrandt, or even the wall next to a Rembrandt. I won't go all spiritual on you here, but there's something different about standing in this towering canyon with the sun shining and the cottonwood trees glowing, staring at these paintings, wondering who was here and why." I've stopped here at this little bridge here. This bridge was built by the CCC. This was a Depression era project designed to get young men out to work and stuff. So FDR sent a bunch of young men all over the country to build things like this and to build the national parks and stuff. Look at this though, this is incredible. I mean, what a wonderful area here. This bridge is going over the water. This is the San Rafael River here behind me. And this is what's, carved this canyon, of course. This is what we saw up above when we were at the Little Grand Canyon overlook. This is just absolutely stunning. I swear this is the best kept secret I've ever seen. We've got a bunch of people camping out here, and a bunch of people are floating the river, actually. Although the San Rafael Swell is off the beaten path, the road I've driven to get through it really only takes about an hour of driving time. I was also fortunate to have a little wildlife encounter with these wild burros on the way out. The road connects with I-70 where I'm staying in Green River, Utah, ready for an exciting adventure tomorrow. Well, I'm all mad at myself because I left my tripod back in the little Grand Canyon like a moron, but this has just been really amazing. I am a Utahn. I already love Utah. Utah already has my heart, but wow, I didn't think it could get any better. I am at an overlook right now called the Spotted Wolf Canyon Overlook. That is I-70 heading through that canyon right there. So this has just been incredible. Unfortunately, I have to hold my camera now for the rest of the trip. It's day 2 of my 3-day road trip, and I'm now on the other side of the San Rafael Swell in a city called Green River, Utah. You may be wondering why my family isn't with me on this trip, and it's because my dad invited me to join him for an ATV ride through the San Rafael Swell. We're now at the trailhead for this ride. They call this the staging area. I believe all of these riders are local and they own their own ATVs, and they all towed them to the staging area. But if you're a tourist who wants to try something like this to explore this area, I'll explain how later.
Okay, this is my new toy, and it's a going little bugger. It's a 2-seater, power steering. This is an add-on. Put all your stuff in here. Got a backup and a front camera. It's basically a rocket.
Our ride leader is going to give us a briefing, and then we'll head out.
Scares the hell out of you if you do this.
Okay, this is it. Don't get scared now. All right, we've made our first stop here, and look at all these ATVs. It's crazy. So there's a little overlook over here we're gonna check out. So there are like 44 machines on this ride. This is a group ride through an organization called Northern Utah ATV Trail Riders. The yearly membership is very affordable, and they offer monthly group rides which provide a safe, guided ride as well as a social circle. Each ride is rated so you know if you can handle it with your skill level. My dad joined this year and has really loved it so far. I got invited to this one because my mom broke her foot and couldn't go, but I'm beginning to wonder if I should buy my own ATV. Okay, so we've stopped here for a bit while they're trying to clear an obstacle. You can see right here in the desert, we are like among all these amazing wildflowers. They're all over the place, and it is crazy. It's amazing that these are growing in the middle of the desert like this.
So if you look around here, you may...
So what that guy was saying is that most of the rocks around here are lava rock, but there are some that are smoothed off, and those were actually in a dinosaur's stomach. They were like what they used to help digest their food. That is insane. One of the nice things about traveling in a group like this with a company of other people is that when you break down, there's people here to help you. So this guy just broke down, and we've been waiting here a while, but everybody pitched in, got the parts he needed, and now we're ready to go. During the 1950s, after the world entered the nuclear age, uranium was all the rage. Uranium mines popped up all over Utah. Just like the gold rushes of the 1800s, the San Rafael Swell experienced a uranium mining rush. These covered shafts, along with small cabins and rusted out vehicles, still remain. This is an amazing viewpoint. That jagged spine you see behind me is called the San Rafael Reef. It's called a reef because it is a barrier to get through. Capitol Reef National Park is very close, and it has a similar reef. The Little Grand Canyon is on the other side of this formation.
Neck, the leg, the ribs, and then the body here.
Okay, remember those Allosaurus that we saw yesterday at the dinosaur quarry, but guess what? Here on this trail, he has found an Allosaurus, bones baked into the rock here. Just amazing. This cabin behind me is not one of the miners' cabins. Believe it or not, one couple tried settling down in this desolate area. Crazy, somebody trying to live out here, and that lady just died like 10 years ago, so it wasn't really all that long that somebody tried settling out here in the San Rafael desert. Well, that wraps up an incredible 8 hours of riding today and no wrecks. If you're interested in doing a similar ride, your best bet is to rent an ATV and join what they call a jamboree. These are held a few times a year and people love them because they are guided, they feed you, and you get to make new friends. For more information about jamborees at the San Rafael Swell, check out Big Mountain Lodge in Farron, Utah for more information. There are also plenty of jamborees all over the West. I'm standing here on the edge of Canyonlands National Park. About 3 miles away at the bottom of this canyon are the most famous pictographs in the world. Let's go check them out. I'm headed clear down into that cool canyon right there. It's hard work getting down this hill, but I found a little red ant here who's working harder than I am. All right, we've got a warning here about not touching the rock art. Right on the ledge of this thing here, almost down there. Canyonlands is a park that has drawn me back time and time again. It's vast and has a lot of backcountry to explore. So there are actually quite a few pictographs or petroglyphs down in this canyon, so you can see some high up above me here on the wall. This is the first one that I've run into. I think there's four galleries. They call them panels here. So we're gonna go check out the other 3. This canyon is separated from the rest of the park and is protected solely for its rock art. But I had no idea how gorgeous it would be, especially in the spring. The rock art found here is similar to the Buckhorn wash pictographs we saw earlier with those tall, narrow, haunting figures. Just to tie this in with the rest of my video, this canyon was used by Butch Cassidy to ditch law enforcement en route to his nearby hideout, Robber's Roost. Well, I've made it to the Great Gallery. These are the most famous pictographs in the world, and replicas are found in multiple museums all over. There is one figure here called the Holy Ghost figure, which has an outline and big bug eyes. 2 figures oversee a herd of animals. 2 appear to be fighting, probably brothers. Nearby, an angel is higher than the rest and appears to be guarding them. There was a ranger here and he told me they think the filled-in figures were common folk while the outline figures were shamans. But of course it's anybody's guess as to what these mysterious drawings mean. The famous Western author Edward Abbey said, "These are sinister and supernatural figures, gods from the underworld perhaps, who hover in space. Most are faceless, but some stare back at you with large, hollow, disquieting eyes." Okay, before I leave this really cool site, just want to give you a few things to know if you want to do this hike. First of all, it is about an hour and a half from the nearest city, which is either Green River, Utah or Hanksville, Utah. Most or all of that drive is on a dirt road, which is doable in a car, but I would not want to do it in a car, so I would recommend a high clearance vehicle. The hike itself is about 6.5 to 7 miles round trip. The first mile of the hike is straight down the canyon wall, which means the last mile of the hike is going to be straight up the canyon wall. That is not going to be fun as I head out of this canyon here. Of course, you cannot touch the rock art. It is a federal offense. Generally, you're not going to be able to do this in the winter or in the middle of summer because it's either too snowy or it's too blazing hot. So spring and fall are your best bets. I'm super happy I'm here in May because the trees are in bloom and the flowers, and it is gorgeous. It's just been an unbelievable experience. About 75 degrees today and unforgettable. I'm standing here in 9 Mile Canyon, so named because it is 46 miles long. No, really, it got its name from an early explorer, but it really is 46 miles long, which means it takes a half to a full day to explore this canyon. 9 Mile Canyon is basically like a big scavenger hunt. Besides being a pretty canyon and providing a nice scenic drive, the canyon has the densest concentration of rock art in the world. There are over 1,000 panels here with over 10,000 painted or carved images. So the fun of it is to explore and discover the images through a number of roadside stops and short walks. What I enjoyed most about the images in this canyon was the variety of figures, most of which I had never seen before. For example, the owl is a fun find. Oh, there's a little baby owl too. And another baby owl, a whole family of owls. Other fun finds are the bear paw, the elk, whatever this guy is, and the coyote, which appears to be placing the stars in the sky. The art in this canyon is from the Fremont or Ute time period, so it's more recent than, say, the art in Horseshoe Canyon and Canyonlands that I was at earlier. I think my favorite style is probably the oldest Barrier Canyon style because it seems so mysterious, but I am really enjoying some of the new figures that I'm seeing here in this canyon, like this owl. The road in this canyon was actually built by the Buffalo Soldiers to connect Price, Utah to Fort Duchesne. A small town once existed here, but is now a ghost town. The road had always been dirt, but when truckers began kicking up dust in the canyon, people were worried it was ruining the rock art. So in 2012, the road was paved. This makes it much easier to explore the canyon. Plan on spending 4 to 6 hours. There's even a bed and breakfast if you want to stay the night. Another famous panel called The Great Hunt is located at the end of the canyon. The panel shows 4 archers hunting while a shaman summons the soon-to-be-dead bighorn sheep. This is another world-famous panel and a favorite of archaeologists and rock art hunters alike. I guess I've been on my own hunt this trip, a hunt for some of the best rock art and some of the best hidden gems of Utah. If you want to do this trip, please see my blog post in the description for more details. Happy hunting, thanks for watching, and until next time, go west, young traveler.